Tonight, we are talking trades, and not just trades, blockbuster trades. Paul Skenes and Fernando Tatis, two guys who are superstars who could find their way to the Bronx. I am joined by Ryan Garcia of Fireside Yankees, and we're going to try and construct the perfect deal to land both of these guys. Coming up next, this is Pinstripe Territory.
Just wanted to talk, that's all.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. And welcome back by popular demand, Mr. Ryan Garcia of Fireside Yankees. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good. It's a Friday night. The weather's cooling down, but I actually do like sweater weather, so I'm pretty happy.
I am too, man. I want to start with a little bit of a funny story here. So back in 2003, I was playing a baseball video game called MVP Baseball. You ever heard of it?
Yes.
So one of the best baseball game series ever, but I was playing MVP 03. It hadn't reached its pinnacle yet. And I had constructed a team that had A-Rod at third base and it had Jeter at shortstop. And I distinctly remember my brother Chris walking into the room and he saw me, field the ball with A-Rod at third and he saw Jeter in the same play and he said that would never happen. He scoffed, he laughed, and he walked out of the room. The next February, A-Rod was a New York Yankee. So to people who say the things that we talk about tonight are crazy, I just want to mention that crazier things have happened. Is there anything that stands out in your mind as being just a crazy deal you never expected to happen?
So for the Yankees, I think Giancarlo Stanton is a perfect example. I don't think I ever envisioned Giancarlo Stanton ending up a Yankee until he ended up a Yankee. Until that trade occurred, I was under the impression he wasn't going to ever, I didn't even think of the Yankees in that. And I would also like to throw in here, Devers going to the Giants. Did anyone ever see that happening? I know that there were some rumors of Devers not being happy with Boston, but in the middle of June, not even at the trade deadline, Devers is gone. Just saying.
And, I never thought we'd see Juan Soto at 25 years old, when he was tearing it up with the Nationals. I was never thinking that we would see him with the Yankees, a couple of years before his contract was up. And, he ended up there via the trade from the Padres, but he got moved to the Padres first. And there's all sorts of echoes of weird trades and weird moves throughout history that we'll probably think of tonight. But I want to begin with somebody who's said he wants to be a Yankee reportedly.
Hey, yo, boy, how you doing?
Paul Skenes. Apparently he wants to be a Yankee. Word around the campfire as he was telling his teammates he wants to be a Yankee. He said that he wants to win a ring with Pittsburgh, but to me it was like one of those, you watch a movie and the hostage reads the note, like, I want $10 million. There was not a lot of enthusiasm behind his eyes there. So I'll present the case, and then I want you to kind of break down your thoughts on this. I think MLB wants him out of Pittsburgh. I think everybody makes more money if he's pitching in a big market. I will borrow a phrase that I saw tonight from Michael Kay of a Mona Lisa hanging in a garage. He's a Mona Lisa hanging in a garage, basically. Pittsburgh isn't close to winning. He's not going to re-sign there. Soon he's going to be making more money. He's won a Rookie of the Year and a Cy Young in his first 2 seasons. He's arguably the best all-around pitcher in baseball. And there are whispers now, but those whispers might get louder, and the pressure might build for the Pirates to do something that's good for baseball here. So what is your take on Paul Skenes? Is this even something you're allowing to creep into your mental space?
Well, I think a Paul Skenes trade is when, not if. Paul Skenes will not be a Pittsburgh Pirate after his rookie contract is up. Whether that's because he was traded before the end of it or he stayed somehow through 6 years and will then leave right after that. There is no world where Paul Skenes retires a Pirate, unless he retires again after the end of his rookie contract. For the Pirates, I think on their end, yes, you keep Skenes while he's cheap and he's the primary and, let's be honest, the only draw towards the Pirates right now and the only source of revenue for that stadium at this moment. The only reason you would watch the Pirates is to watch Paul Skenes. We could sit here and talk about how they should just invest around him, but they're not capable of doing that because they don't want to. We say it every offseason now, every deadline. Why don't they invest? Why don't they invest? Why don't they invest? Until the Pirates invest, I'm going to assume that Skenes is a matter of when, not if on the trade front. And for the sport of baseball, if Paul Skenes ever got to pitch in a playoff game, we talked about this. I remember talking about this with Shohei when he was an Angel. Man, could you imagine if he played in the postseason? Could you imagine if he was pitching in the postseason
and it was awesome
in that same game? Yeah, it was like, I mean, look, I know that Yankee fans may not universally like Shohei Ohtani. Watching him hit 2 home runs against the Reds in that wild card series was hilarious. That was incredible. Watching him pitch in the NLCS and the World Series, no, it wasn't a great World Series on the mound, but the fact that a guy is pitching and also hitting at the same time in the World Series, what? Excuse me?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
When he came out to pitch, he had dirt on his uniform. Like, how often do you see that? You never see that anymore these days, right? I mean, it's because he slid into third base. And I agree with you that it's better for the sport when the big stars are playing in the postseason. So I want to kind of just talk about, like, what does a trade even look like? Let's just assume for a second that the Pirates are going to yield to the pressure, and they're going to admit that they're not in the baseball business and that they can't afford this guy when he starts to get paid a little bit more. I mean, I can't imagine any scenario where the first 2 names, as we said in the green room, that come out of Charrington's mouth are not Ben Rice and Cam Schlittler, because I mean those are the Yankees' 2 best young pieces that you can build around. But obviously the Yankees would go, let's negotiate a little bit first, because they're important to the Yankees too. So what is your offer, and do you include those guys?
If I'm the Yankees, and I know I'm operating for both good for the team, but also as an owner, what's going to make me the most money? I'm offering Rice and Schlittler because Paul Skenes in the New York Yankees uniform is perhaps the most marketable thing the Yankees could possibly have. I mean, think of the amount of revenue you're bringing in, everything that comes with Paul Skenes. You can increase your payroll. Actually, in this trade, your payroll is going down because Skenes isn't even arbitration eligible. So I have Ben Rice, Cam Schlittler, Will Warren, George Lombard Jr., and Ben Hess as my crazy mock trade. For the Pirates, you get 2 controllable starting pitchers, one with the upside to be a frontline guy in Schlittler, the other more of a back end, going to give you 33 starts, but going to keep you from having to pay for pitchers on the market. That's pretty important. You're saving about $10 to $12 million instead of going out and trying to sign a Zach Eflin. You've got a cheap Will Warren. For Ben Rice, he's immediately your team's best hitter. I mean, that's pretty valuable. You get 5 years of him. George Lombard Jr. could come up in 2027. Ben Hess, similar timeline, and can be impact guys for you at a cheap cost. If you're the Pirates and you're saying, all right, let's blow it up, like we're not doing anything with Paul Skenes, I think it's a pretty competitive offer. I think you actually get some semblance of value out of this. You could then turn around and say, hey, let's go spend the quote unquote $30 million we're going to spend on our roster, and let's spend it all on offense, and let's see if we can be interesting. I still think they would be irrelevant. I'm going to be honest. I just don't believe $30 million is changing the Pirates. They should spend way more. But for the Yankees, sure, you lost your entire farm system basically, but how much money is Paul Skenes going to make the Yankees? That's got to be part of this, right?
Right. I mean, you could spend that money elsewhere. It would really hurt to lose Cam Schlittler. It would really hurt to lose Ben Rice. But I mean, if Paul Skenes is coming back, it's kind of like you'll get over it. You know what I mean? Like you get over it immediately. It would sting. Here's the trade that I wrote down, and I want to preface this by saying I suck at predicting trades, right? Some people say I overpay, some people say I underpay. I'm almost never directly on. But I agree with you in trading some controllable starters going back. I'm going for quantity. I'm going Luis Heel. I'm going Will Warren. And I'm going Carlos Lagrange, who's, a prospect on the come up, also 100+ mile an hour fastball, could convert to a bullpen piece, right? And then I'm also giving them George Lombard Jr. As a future piece, and I'm giving them Spencer Jones as a lottery ticket. And my caveat is I'm giving them my entire bonus pool, whatever the Yankees have left, so that it's kind of like a gift card, right? When you don't know what to give somebody, you say, go buy yourself something with this nice little Visa gift card. So is that outrageous? Or do you think they would hang up laughing at that?
You could argue they'd hang up at both of our offers laughing just because it's Paul Skenes. But I would also say, from an objective, just if you were to load this up in a trade simulator, I'm sure it would at least be considered a competitive offer. I think that people don't like the thing with trades is years of control and cheapness matter. Unfortunately, as Yankee fans, we kind of don't really understand the difference between, hey, it's $10 million. Like they should just pay it. For the Pirates, that's 10% of their payroll at minimum. So in their heads, it's, okay, paying $10 million for a starting pitcher on the market or just having Will Warren, that's significantly more valuable for us because that's a lot of cheap cost control. But at the end of the day, if you're the Yankees, I just don't think there's a player outside of Aaron Judge that I would go, oh, we can't even talk about this because money for the Yankees are going to make a crap ton of money off this. And he's a craftsman while also throwing as hard as he does. Derek, I don't look at Paul Skenes and go, oh yeah, he's all stuff. He doesn't really know where the ball's going. He's just young and he'll figure it out down the road. He's got, 80 grade stuff, but everything is located perfectly. Look at the pitch mix. 7 different pitches used at least 5% of the time.
He's Mike Mussina if Mike Mussina threw 101. That's who he is.
He's like if you took Max Fried's command and pitchability and you combined it with, I don't know, think of the best stuff guys you can think of. This guy's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Let me ask you this. Does a rotation of Paul Skenes and a returning, to health Garrett Cole along with Max Fried and whoever you want to throw in there as the number 4, whether it's Rodon or whatever, first of all, best rotation in the American League. Does that win you the World Series? I think that's a World Series. You almost can construct the lineup with extra pieces that you find on the market. You've got Aaron Judge. You've got Jazz Chisholm. You could find pieces to surround those guys and get on base, and that pitching will win you the World Series.
If Max Fried is my game 2 starter and Garrett Cole's my game 3 starter, Derek, they can put you at shortstop. We're winning the World Series. We're winning the World Series. What's a better number 2 starter out there than Max Fried and or Garrett Cole? And I know for a fact the number 3 starter at any other rotation isn't better than those 2 guys. Paul Skenes, pound for pound, I think on a per start basis is the best starter in baseball. I think Skubal's volume is where I would consider taking Skubal, but in a World Series that doesn't matter. It's per start basis. I'm taking Skenes, right? I'm winning game 1. Skenes is I'm winning game 1. And game 2, I've got Fried or Cole. I'm confident I'm winning at least one of game 2 or 3. You go up 2-1 in a World Series and you've got Skenes get another game in there. I'm winning the World Series, man. It's that simple. I'm winning the World Series and I have that. So that's why there isn't a price I wouldn't pay.
Well, we'll dream as Yankees fans. And again, I want to say to everybody who's watching, who's tuning in, who's saying, what are these 2 guys talking about? Paul Skenes is not going to be traded. Crazier things have happened. Roger Clemens won 2 Cy Young Awards in a row for a division rival and got traded for the number 2 Cy Young Award finisher in David Wells the next year after the Yankees had already won 125 games and were returning pretty much the exact same team. That's a scenario that makes no sense whatsoever if you really think about it. But hey, worked out, won a couple more World Series in a row. So here's what we're going to do, Ryan. We're going to take a quick break for a word from our sponsor, HUEL, and then we're going to talk about Fernando Tatis because you brought up Giancarlo Stanton a little bit earlier, and I think there are some echoes of that history in what's happening right now in San Diego. 60 seconds from HUEL, then back to talk about Nando.
Kratz Pop Quiz. What has 35 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, comes in excellent flavors like, of course, chocolate, vanilla, but chocolate peanut butter, my favorite. No added sugar, gluten-free, under $5 per meal, and is ready to drink.
Go out the house, get yourself a HUEL. Look at you. You even have one right there. Ready to smack that, John? Chocolate peanut butter, chocolate, and vanilla. Deliciosos.
Also, there is a new daily greens ready to drink, 42 vitamins, minerals, and superfoods. Only 25 calories on that one, 4 grams of fiber. There's flavors like blueberry, apple, peach. HUEL makes healthy eating simple. They also just launched into Target stores nationwide. Try both products today with 15% off your purchase for new customers with the code FOUL at huel.com/FOUL. Use that code FOUL and fill out the post-checkout survey to help support FT.
I am altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further.
All right, so let's talk about Fernando Tatis Jr. Now, I remember Fernando Tatis Sr., and that guy could really hit. And his son is just as good in terms of power. Now, he had some times early on in his career, motorcycle accidents, steroid usage. He was not mature. I was talking to you in the green room, and I mentioned that over the last couple of years, it feels to me like he's matured a little bit. Like he's learning how to cope, if that's a wrong word, with being rich and famous as an athlete. But these guys are always dangerous to bring into New York if you've had some kind of sketchy stuff. So I just kind of want to get your thoughts on this. The Padres are considering a sale. The Seidler family considering a sale. And when you are buying a team, you don't want to take on an extra $300 million in debt that you owe somebody, right? In addition to buying this team, you want as little debt to come along with that as possible. You want to make it your own. It would not shock me if the Padres went to Tatis and said, hey, look, we got to move you. Where would you be willing to go? And for Tatis, a superstar, I think it would be, we know he doesn't like LA. I think it would be tough not to say in New York, I want to go play alongside Aaron Judge. Yankees have an opening in left field. Does it make any sense to you? Are we dreaming big here?
I think, again, I would bet on the Padres keeping Tatis. That would be my bet. But I think in the case of Tatis, there's just always going to be that question because he does actually make money. And as you alluded to, the Padres have had financial trouble for 3 years now. The Yankees got Juan Soto because the Padres were bleeding money. And we've seen that AJ Preller is a crazy GM. He went from, all right, I wonder what I'm going to do at the deadline to, I'm trading my number 3 overall prospect in the entire sport for a closer in Mason Miller. And he's not even going to close for us. AJ Preller is crazy. I love AJ Preller from an entertainment standpoint. He's crazy. So when you got a GM like AJ Preller, you got to assume that anything is at least a conversation. And so that's why I think, hey, I mean, whether it's this year, next year, the year after, I don't think Tatis will get moved, but is it a 0% chance? I wouldn't say it's a 0% chance. There's nothing off the table.
One thing that would be interesting, though, if that did happen, I don't think the price in players going the other way would be as high as somebody like a Paul Skenes. You could get him just by, I mean, how many teams can take on a 9-year, $290 million contract that he also would be willing to waive his no trade clause to go to, right? I don't see Tatis wanting to go to play in Toronto, even though they just made the World Series. He just doesn't seem like a Toronto kind of guy. He seems like he wants to be bright lights, big city, right? The Yankees, Mets, probably the only 2 places I think he would consider. Maybe the Cubs, but they're probably a little bit too far away. I mean, I think that he would probably want to go play for the Yankees or the Mets. And that would limit the leverage that the Padres have to ask for a deal. Take on all this money. I think the Yankees would probably do something kind of like a token good player like they gave for A-Rod. Just, trade Alfonso Soriano, guy who's coming off of a nearly 40-40 season. But, not great defense and 2 years older than reported at the time. Maybe you give him Jason Dominguez. Maybe you send. He's not going to be playing anyway if you're putting Tatis in left. I would make that deal, and I'm a big Dominguez fan. But how does this even? This would send ripple effects through the lineup in ways that we can't even fathom. Having that another big right-handed bat to go along with Judge and Stanton.
Yeah, so the first thing I would do is if I'm the Yankees and if I'm Brian Cashman and I talk to AJ Preller and he goes, I don't want to trade Tatis, but what would you offer? Or I would say if I'm Cashman, I'd go, what do you want? I'm sure Preller's going to say Ben Rice, and I would go, okay. And if you got Ben Rice, you would 100% trade Tatis. Like if you got Rice to headline a package, you would do this. If Preller says yes, I'm keeping Rice on the table. I love Ben Rice. Ben Rice is probably one of my favorite guys to have watched as a prospect and take to the big leagues. Because if you put him on the table, let's say the Mets, who are they putting on the table that keeps the Padres offense afloat the way that Ben Rice does?
That's a good point. I mean, we've heard some rumors that they could deal Vientos, but he's, he doesn't change it the way that Rice does, And
he's too much swing and miss. Rice is a lot of contact, good power. We've got to think too, from the Padres perspective, when you look at across the league, you're not going to get a better hitter on that kind of contract than Ben Rice. And if you're opening up $25 million, you don't want to bring in arbitration guys either, because that eats into that $25 million that you've opened up. You need to spend all of that on your roster. Rice is, I think, $800,000 towards the luxury tax. So that's part of it for me. I'd offer Warren in this because controllable, cheap starting pitcher. They need rotation help. I would offer Dominguez if that was needed, but the guy would throw in as the ace in the hole, and this feels like a weird one, but I think you can get them to bite on this. Clark Schmidt. He's going to be back at some point this year. The Padres could look at themselves and say, we're going to probably make the postseason. Schmidt can help our rotation down the stretch, and we have him for the year after. And to give them some more financial flexibility, I would ask them for Wandy Peralta back. I think he's a good enough reliever that he's an upgrade over what we already have. And every time he opts in, it tells me that that he thinks he can't do better on the market. And for the Padres, that might mean they view him as a net negative contract. You get a bullpen addition. You get, as you mentioned, a legitimate superstar in Tatis. I can't even imagine what this team would look like with Tatis and Judge in the same lineup.
And you know what? I would love to have Preller as a part of the Yankee organization. Maybe not the GM, maybe not the guy making the final calls, because, like you said, he is kind of a gunslinger. He's a little bit too crazy for me, but I love his creativity. And if the Padres decide to, change everything, if they sell the organization, that person's going to want to bring in their own people, right? And so Preller will become available. I would love to see him maybe, find his way into the Yankees organization. Thoughts on that?
I would love him to be the devil on Cashman's shoulder, just kind of haunt over him and go, all right, man, I know you're saying that's too much, but let's think about this. All right. You want that guy. You want him on your team. Just let him.
How good are Clint Frazier and Miguel Andujar really going to be, Brian? How good are they really going to be? Wouldn't Garrett Cole be nice? Wouldn't Justin Verlander be a great deadline addition? Oh man, that's a
kind of guy to like sit in a meeting and while everyone's going, all right, this guy's obviously back, that guy's obviously back, he'll go, so guys, if we were to trade like Carlos Rodon, what are we getting back for him? And can we spend that money? Like, what can we do with that? And everyone's just gonna look at him with like he's got like 4 eyes. They're like, what are you talking about? But that's the kind of GM he is. And to his credit, man, he knew he wasn't keeping Soto, and he built a playoff team that I thought could have won the World Series in 24, and they were still competitive in 25. That is impressive. That guy is impressive to me. He's good at scouting. I don't think he's the best GM in baseball, but I think he's one of the best to have for winning World Series championships, or at least for trying to always be in it. He finds prospects out of nowhere. Like, wasn't it 3 or 4 years ago he dumped his entire farm system for Snell and for Musgrove and all these guys? And 5 years later, he finds Jackson Merrill. That guy's a Rookie of the Year winner, or a Rookie of the Year finalist last year. He has LDV, who goes to the Athletics and gets him Mason Miller. They might try and start Mason Miller. I mean, that organization, hats off. They are, I don't know what they are sometimes, man. They're crazy.
They're fun. They're fun,
yes.
and they're interesting. And I think a lot of times in sports, just having your team be interesting and relevant is a good thing. But for the Yankees, we're always going to be that. So we want to win. We want that next level super, because no matter what the Yankees do, they're always a story. If they lose, it's a story. If they win, it's a story. If they're just kind of so-so, that's a story. So as fans, we're used to relevance. We're used to being in the conversation. We want to win, and that's why the Yankees should take a serious look at both of these guys that we mentioned tonight, and maybe some other crazy deals if they come their way. Ryan, again, thanks so much. Go subscribe to Fireside Yankees. It's Ryan's channel. It's a great follow on X, on social media, on Instagram as well. And Ryan, any final thoughts here?
My final thoughts are, first and foremost, I'm really happy to be back on. I really enjoy doing this. And secondly, I'd like to just say, hey, Fernando Tatis, you want to replace the Dominican star we lost in Juan Soto? As a Dominican myself, I'm buying that Fernando Tatis jersey within 2 seconds of it dropping on any store. Just letting you know.
I'm buying it too, and I'm Polish. So, hey, instantaneous across whatever we are, nationalities. All right, man, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you next. If you enjoyed this content, please hit that like button and subscribe. Check out nydesigns.shop for some great merch. Support our sponsors. It helps keep the show going. And you can find us on all major audio platforms, so be sure to subscribe there too. But most importantly, come back again soon. We'll see you next time.